Hi, this is Mr. Aguilar. Welcome to my art videos. So I'm making this video for my students and anybody who wants to get into art, but they don't know quite what materials to get or what they can use. And I'm going to show you some tricks and other things that you can buy, but I'm going to also show you how to use some home items that you can find for your illustration and drawing. So what I have here is I have art pencils. Now, if you're new to art, the only pencil you're probably used to are your number two pencils, which are the yellow pencils that you're familiar with from school. I don't actually own any yellow pencils, and I didn't think about grabbing any from the classroom today, which is fine because I'm just going to talk about our general art supplies. At the bottom of the video, underneath in the description, I'm going to put links in. I'm going to put links for everything in here to where you can find it. Some of those links are going to be Amazon. Some of those links are going to be like Office Depot or Staples. Other links are going to be to an art store because you can't find these in other stores. And that'll be Blick art supplies. So let's start this video by talking off the pencils. So what you have, and I arranged the pencils from the hardest to the softest. This is pretty much standard. So here in the hard spectrum, I have the 4H, and in the soft spectrum, I have the 6B. I like to think of this as a number line with my HB being the zero. Now, the reason I have HB as a zero is those number two pencils that you have, those are equivalent to an HB. So normally if you look at it, it'll say number two pencil HB on it. Not all of them have it, but most of them do have it. So I'm going to count that one as zero. And then when we go to the left, that's going to be on the negative side of the line chart or the number chart, I'm sorry. And the 6B is going to be on the positive side. So if this is zero and we go all the way down to -4, which is going to be our 4H, this is our hardest pencil and it's going to give us our lightest, sharpest, most consistent line. This is so hard, it's impossible to make a dark line with it. If you try really adding a lot of pressure and making a dark line onto a piece of paper, you'll end up tearing through the paper, especially if it's like an art paper. This one I really only use if I'm transferring a drawing to like a watercolor paper and I want my lines to be super, super light and I don't want my lines to show through the watercolor because watercolor is transparent. I'll transfer it over in a 4H. That's pretty much the only purpose I have for it. Um, the lightest pencil that I'll use for drawing is a 2H, and that's if I'm going to lay out some guides and I don't want those guides to be really present. But normally my drawing pencil, my go-to pencil is going to be my HB. That's my sketching pencil for every day. And then when I want to add darker tones or values, I'll go to the 2B. So now we're moving to the positive side of the number line. 4B is going to be really, really soft, and that's going to give you some nice dark black values. And then the 6B is super soft. This will smudge and blur and get messy. If you have an area that you need to get super dark, but you also want to blend it so it's really, really smooth, that's when I would use the 6B. Otherwise, my range is usually from 2H to 4B at the softest. So I rarely use a 6B. I rarely use a 4H. They have very specific purposes. And then next I have some click pencils or mechanical pencils. And these are Pentel. This is a zero point 0.7. This is a zero point 0.9. Now, if you don't know what that means, zero point 0.7 and zero point 0.9 refer to how thick the lead is. And you can buy different types of leads at 0.7. I can buy an HB, I can buy a B, I can buy a 2B. And then I would just fill it in there. Now, normally, all my mechanical pencils stay at an HB. I don't mess with like Bs and 2Bs. I just keep them all HB. I want to keep it as simple as possible. And then this one over here, this is a drafting mechanical pencil. You won't find this in any art section. So if you go to an Office Depot or Staples, a Hobby Lobby, a Michaels, you're not going to find this in the art section, in the drawing section. You're going to find this in the drafting section or the architectural section. So if you're looking for one of these type of pencils, again, you're not going to find it where you find these other pencils at. The reason I have these two, these are the nicest mechanical pencils I've seen out in the market, and they're again by Pentel. They cost about $4 or $5 a piece. You can order them individually. Usually in the store, they sell them in 2 packs. Uh, I would, if you're going to get a mechanical pencil, I would definitely get those two. I don't buy any other mechanical pencils other than these. The blue ones are the .7. The reddish purplish ones, those are .9s. And then this one right here actually just comes out as a thick lead. Uh, so generally the pencil will come with one. So that's that lead right here that you can see. Let me put a paper underneath so you can see it. And then it just opens up and you just slide it in. Yeah. Okay. And you have it right there. And I just made a mess. So I just sharpened it. And so here's the thing I'll do right now. Um, the cool thing about these pencils, they come with their own sharpener. They're on the back side right here. You just stick it here and you just rotate it and you have a sharpener. But it is messy and it does get all over the place. And I forgot that I did it. So let me get rid of it on a paper towel so I don't make a mess. You want to be careful with that kind of stuff because you can easily make a mess, especially if you have a surface like I have right here. It's hard to see when it gets on it. Can be messy. That is the drawback. There are sharpeners that you can buy that you just stick this in and you just spin it around and it'll keep the shavings inside the container so you don't have to worry about making a mess. So let's look at what these pencils do. I have a piece of paper here. I want to make an example. But before we get into that, I want to introduce you to, I'm going to grab a colored one so you can see it better. These are pencil extenders. And they just have a little bolt here. You just twist it to unlock it, and then you just tighten it. Why do I have these? Well, you can't really do anything with a small pencil. It's too hard to draw with. You have no leverage, no range of motion. But these are too nice and too expensive to throw away. So you just get an extender, put it in there, lock it in, and now you have a full-length pencil and you have a full range of motion. So if you can find these in a store, this is a Derwent brand pencil extender. I would pick them up. They're really hard to find in stores. More often than not, I have to order these. Not often. It's only when I lose them. They'll eventually break right here, the mechanism. But they might break once every 2 years unless you abuse it. So these are really good. So let's look at some of the differences. Why would I have the mechanical pencils? Well, if I need to make straight, consistent lines, and I don't want to have any variations in my lines, I'll use these with the ruler. These are fantastic to use with the ruler. These pencils, as they get dull, their mark changes. So you're not going to get a consistent mark, and you're going to have to constantly resharpen these. So if I'm doing any type of like straight lines, mechanical drawings, I'm going to use a mechanical pencil. That's why they're there for. That's what they're made for. If I need to shade and render something, I'm not going to use a mechanical pencil because that's not what they're made for. If you try shading with these, and let me get some lead out here real fast. So if you try shading with these, you'll end up just breaking off the lead. And you're going to break. It's going to cost you money. There's no point in doing it. So I wouldn't shade with these. These ones are a little bit different. They're thicker, and all you have to do is press down. You can get the lead a little bit longer. And again, you can come in and you can shade and you get a nice flat surface. So these ones are pretty good for shading. But you're not going to get a very dark value. And if you try pressing down on this to get a dark value, you will snap that too. And these suckers are expensive. So this mechanical pencil by itself costs $14. The replacement leads, which come like this, they just come in a nice little carrying case. These can be expensive. However, You don't go through them very long. You can buy one case and it'll last you like more than a year and a half. So those are fantastic. Uh, Otherwise, again, it's a mechanical pencil. I use it as a mechanical pencil. I don't really generally draw and shade with it. That's what these are for. So I want to give you guys some examples of what I was talking about. So I'm going to take a 4H, which again is one of the harder ones, and I'm just going to make a mark. And you can see or not see that it's a very light mark. I'm going to jump to the HB. And you can see right away that you're going to get a much darker line. And then I'm going to go to the 4B. And you can see the line is going to be a lot darker and a little bit thicker. So they all have their purposes. So that's the 4H, the 2H, the H, HB, 2B, 4B, and 6B. Now, these are the Tombow mono pencils. I used to have to order these. You can really only find them in art stores, and only the higher end art stores at that are going to carry them. Otherwise, you can just go to Blick.com and order them online. However, the nice discovery I made is Hobby Lobby now carries them like in 2-packs and 4-packs. So if you want to try these pencils out, go buy a 2-pack, go buy a 4-pack. Huge difference to drawing. You could feel it, you can hear it. Best pencils out in the market. I don't use any other type of pencils than these. I've been using these pencils for almost 12 years now, since they came out into the market. So those are fantastic. Let's talk about sharpeners real fast. So I have a couple here, and there's a ton of sharpeners out there. I just grabbed 3 that I have. This one's nice for traveling. I like having this in my bag simply because it captures the shaving and then you can lock it so then the shavings don't go anywhere. But this is, I believe, the Faber pencil sharpener. This has been one of the best ones that I have found. You're not going to find that in a general store. If you find a sharpener that captures the shavings, just buy the nicest one you're going to find. You're going to be tempted to buy the cheap ones. Don't do it. They stink and they'll ruin your pencil. These are nice. I don't buy plastic sharpeners. I only buy the nice metal ones. This one has the holes for oversized pencils, so like your Conte pencils, your big, larger graphite pencils, or your charcoal pencils. That's what this bigger one's for. And then for your everyday regular pencils, that's what the smaller one's for. And then my favorite sharpener is this guy. And you're going to be fooled because you're going to find this in an art store and you're going to see some. They usually come in buckets and they're going to say 99 cents. Those are the cheaper versions of this. These ones, this one right here costs about $5. And they look just like each other. The way you can tell the difference is one's going to sell for 99 cents, the other one's going to sell for $5. The 99-cent ones sharpens amazing, but they go dull like in a month and a half. This one will last me a year before I have to get rid of it. One lasts you about a month, costs 99 cents. The other one will last you over a year, costs about $5. So it's worth the investment. This will give you your best edge. This is really nice. Comes nowhere close to this. But again, you need something to sharpen over to collect the shavings so you don't make a mess. So sharpeners, don't go cheap. There's no point in getting a nice pencil and a cheap sharpener because a cheap sharpener is going to mess up your nice pencil. And that could be extraordinarily frustrating. The next thing I have is I have some erasers. And this is a Stadler. And this is a Faber-Castell or Castell. These are just Mars white erasers. So you're going to see Mars plastic. Both of these are Mars plastic. They're just 2 different brands. These are the type of erasers that I buy all the time. Another type of eraser that I get is the kneaded eraser or the gum eraser. And when you buy it, it doesn't look like that. It comes like this. So here's a 2-pack. These are really, really cheap and inexpensive. But when I'm doing shading and blending and I need to make a really nice eraser mark, let's say I need to make highlights and hair, these are nice because I can just sharpen, get a nice little edge and point, and then I can come through and I can make a nice little thin eraser mark. The other nice thing about this, and I'll do it right here so you can see it. If you don't want to erase, you don't want to tear the paper, maybe you have a really nice sensitive paper and an eraser will tear the paper. You can take this, press down and lift, and it'll lift the pencil right up off the paper. So that's another way to get lighter tones in a shaded drawing, is by using a kneaded eraser versus coming in and erasing this way, which can cause some smudging. And since we're talking about smudging, you can see how that got a little bit dirty. I already cleaned this side. I already cleaned that one too. So you can see where it's dirty, right? So this is an art pad. It's sandpaper on a pad. I'll tell you how to make a cheap one, or you can buy one in an art store. But it's sandpaper. You just do that. Now I have a nice clean eraser. Uh, a dirty eraser will make smudges and smears. You can also use your jeans. The jeans aren't going to work as well. You need an abrasive surface. So these are fantastic. You can also use these for sharpening your like pastels or your charcoal pencils. So if I need to get a very fine edge or a fine line, I can just take my charcoal pencil, rub it up, and I can get a really nice crisp edge on my charcoal pencil. So that's what you'd use that for. But we're not done with erasers. We got more. So you guys are probably used to this, right? This is just your click eraser. These are fantastic. These work great too. And basically this is that Mars plastic. They're the same material. They work well together. That's why I get them. I don't use cheap erasers. I don't use the pink erasers, the pearl erasers that you're going to get. I would never use those. And then the other thing I have, and this is one of my new favorite things, and this is also by Tombow Mono. It's the same company that makes these pencils. And this is basically a small eraser for creating details. So if you need to erase like a highlight in an eye, so let's say you're drawing the pupil of an eye, or you need to make some fine eraser marks in a hair for the highlight, this works fantastic. You can get really detailed eraser marks. And it works just the same as the other one. You just click, and then it comes with replacement. Just pull it out, put a new one in, and you have the case. So once you buy it, and it's actually pretty cheap, but once you buy it, you just buy your refills. And it's a fantastic eraser. There's more. The last eraser I want to show you is this right here. This is an electric eraser and it's USB charged. So you can take the same thing that you would charge like your headphones or your cell phone with, anything that has that USB charger. It comes with one. It comes with the cable, but it's fantastic. Comes with a protective case. It comes with different sizes. So this is a thinner one and it comes with like 50 replacements from really skinny to a fat one. So I have another one. I bought two of them. And here I have the fat eraser on to get bigger sections. And then I have the smaller one on this. And here's the reason I bought two. They're like $14 a piece. When I was in high school, to buy one of these, they had a cord that you plug into a wall. And a nice one cost about $100. These cost about $14 in tax. These are fantastic. And you can make some really nice eraser marks. So if I need to get consistent erasers and I need to get most of the graphite off the paper, I'm just going to use this. If I just want to work quickly and I have a lot of details, I'll just use this. My everyday go-to number one eraser is still going to be my click eraser because I use this for sketching all the time. So that is the erasers, that is the sharpeners. Again, this is just a little pad sandpaper. What I did for my class, I went and bought a package of sandpaper for I think like $6 or $7. I asked them if I could have the paint mixing sticks, and all I did was I cut these up and I stapled them onto here. And then the staple went through, so I put tape on the ones in my classroom. But I was able to make about 12 of these for my classroom for like $4 or $5, and I still have leftover sandpaper. These will cost you like $10 to buy, and they come with about 8 or 9 sheets, and then you just go buy a new one. But you can make a bunch of these dirt cheap. You don't have to buy the more expensive ones. Now, the very last thing I want to talk about, blending stumps. Now, I'm not a big fan of blending stumps because when I illustrate with pencils, I don't need to blend with these. The only time I'll ever use a blending stump is if I'm using a 6B, which is super soft. And even then, I generally won't use a blending stump. I just use the pencil and I just use hand control. But if I need to bring this out for a lighter tone or value, I can do that. What I use blending stumps for is charcoal. So let me get a soft charcoal here real fast and I'll make some marks. And again, you can see the difference between graphite and charcoal, huge difference. The main thing with charcoal is it's really hard to do detail with charcoal. And that's where the blending stumps come in. You can really smooth it out. You can get rid of all that rough edges. You can drag it out and to get to lighter areas. And then you can just push and pull in and out. So when you need to get your different tones, you can use this. And again, the kneaded eraser is the #1 eraser. These Mars plastic erasers, these never touch charcoal. Charcoal will destroy these erasers. So don't ever use charcoal with those erasers. So I just use this. And again, you can make some nice lines. You can control and shift, manipulate, get some nice fine lines with that. So I mainly use the kneaded eraser or the gum eraser. That's the #1 tool that I use for charcoal. I generally only use blending stumps for charcoal. You'd also use these for pastels. They come in packs. You just buy a pack. They have a ton from thin to thick. And then if you like working with pastels and you like working with charcoal, get a separate set for your charcoal. Get another set for your pastels. Don't try to use them on both. It'll just make a mess. Now, you don't have access to a store. You can't buy your blending stumps. What are you going to do? Well, you can take a piece of paper and roll it up. Okay, so you can just take a piece of paper and roll it up, but it's generally only good for about a day. One of my favorite tools is a Q-tip. I also use tissue paper that you'd blow your nose with. So these work great because you can smear with these. And more often than not, what I do is I will wrap it around my finger, and sometimes I will double wrap it. But with my finger, I have really nice control, and I can come in here and I can really manipulate what I'm shading. So I'm going to make another little mark here real fast. Now, if I want to do some finer details, because my finger is too big, I use a Q-tip. Q-tip. And then when I want to do like really big areas, like big volume, I just get a cotton ball. So I always have like a bag of cotton balls. I always have a bag of Q-tips. So I use those all the time. I can use my hand if I want, but I don't like using my hand. Use tissue paper. You can use toilet paper. You can use paper towels. But when you use a paper towel, it will give a texture to the charcoal. So I'd only use the paper towel if I want the texture. So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to go over. I'm going to have a separate video just for charcoal, and it'll be charcoal pencils, charcoal sticks, charcoal vines, and the different ways you can use it. So I wanted to keep this just with pencils, erasers, and sharpeners, and then touch upon some of this other stuff like their blending stumps. So I hope you found the video useful. What I'm going to do again in the description area below, I'm going to put a bunch of links directly to the items that I'm showing you. So some of them are going to be through Blick Art Supplies. Some of them are going to be through Office Depot or Staples. Some of them are going to be through Amazon. Um, Go ahead, click on it. I hope this video is useful. Give me some feedback if you thought and you found this was useful. And if you have any questions or like me to see me go over any other materials, please let me know, and I'll try to make those videos as soon as possible. So till next time, this is Mr. Aguilar. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in my next video.